Lan, the Rainbow Arbiter, is an Aeon with a singular goal: to wipe out the abundance and everything it has created. For an outsider, it might seem strange that a god with such power only chases after one simple-minded mission. However, for the Aeon of the Hunt, nothing could be more justified than to purge the universe of the Plague Author's works. To understand where Lan's hatred comes from and why they are so powerful, we need to travel back in time thousands of years, to a meeting of two races: the people of the Xianzhou Alliance and a race known as the Heliobi. The Heliobi are a race of shapeless beings made from pure energy. They appear as flames that are capable of speech and thought. Just like how humans can interact with physical objects, the Heliobi can interact with everything related to energy. This is important because the Heliobi can also feel and interact with the energy inside living organisms. Because they can manipulate this energy, they can possess living organisms and feed on their emotions and other stimuli. In short, they are energy parasites. The Xianzhou first came into contact with the Heliobi before they became a long-life species. The Heliobi entered the Xianzhou's ships and asked the natives to shelter them because they had nowhere to go. The people of the Xianzhou were fascinated by the formless creatures, so they didn't really hesitate to accept them onto the ships. This, however, turned out to be a grave mistake, because very quickly the Heliobi started to take over the bodies of the natives and to control of their will and drain their emotional energy. This event was known as the Occupation Tragedy. However, the Xianzhou natives wouldn't go down without a fight. The artisans on the ships began to create prisons specifically made to contain the Heliobi, and after a fierce struggle, eventually the Xianzhou won. They sentenced the Heliobi to imprisonment, while also having to provide the Xianzhou ships with energy for all eternity. Because the Xianzhou now had an infinite power source, this punishment also conveniently solved the need to generate energy aboard the ships. This is probably also the reason why we don't see any power generators aboard the Luofu. After this power struggle, the Heliobi launched one last desperate attack to subdue the Xianzhou ships and turn the tides in their favor. They combined all their forces together into a giant red star to engulf the ships. This is where an unnamed hero, presumed to be Lan, together with a suicide squad, changed the engine of a Xianzhou ship, the Yaoqing, into a weapon. Then they sent the entire weapon into the red star, causing it to implode in the black hole, destroying almost the entire Heliobi army. After that overwhelming defeat, the leader of the Heliobi, the Flint Emperor, was imprisoned and, just like the rest of his captured kin, sentenced to infinite energy contribution for the Xianzhou ships. Sometime after these events, the Xianzhou encounters Yaoshi, the Aeon of Abundance. They gifted the Xianzhou natives the power of immortality by planting a special tree, the Ambrosial Arbor. At first, the natives were elated to see that their search for immortality had finally yielded results. But there was one hero, the very same who conquered the Heliobi, Lan, who tried to warn the others of the consequences of immortality. However, they wouldn't listen to them. So, in order to show them their resolve, they shot an arrow into the Ambrosial Arbor. This enraged the elites who had only just become immortal. But since the hero had many exploits to their name, they couldn't just execute or banish them. So they chose the next best option: imprisonment while being kept in cryosleep. At first, the Xianzhou natives were content and happy with their newfound immortality. However, they were in for a rude awakening, because they discovered that if they had lived for a long time, a sudden change came over them. Their bodies would suddenly change into wood-like flesh, and they would lose all reason and sense of self in a matter of minutes. This process would later become known as becoming Mara-struck. On the ships ensued chaos. Civil wars and wars against other denizens of the Abundance were waged almost all the time. This chaos continued for quite a long time, until finally the Xianzhou alliance was formed between all of the ships of the Xianzhou. After the alliance was formed, the fleet ran into Moldrasil, the homeworld of the Wingweavers, a bird-like warrior race who worshipped the abundance and didn't take kindly to the flightless natives of the Xianzhou. Because of the wars, the alliance didn't have enough resources to deal with the conflict yet, so they had to resort to desperate measures. They had to release the prisoners in order to assist with fending off the Wingweavers, among these prisoners being Lan. In order to gain more strength, Lan headed into the prison where the previous leader of the Heliobai, the Flint Emperor, was held captive, and struck a bargain with them. Lan would allow the Emperor to possess their body, and in return, Lan would be able to wield the power of the Heliobai. From the ship closest to Moldrasil, infused with the power of the Heliobai, the first sky-shattering Lux arrow was fired from Lan's bow, traveling through the Ambrosial Arbor and crashing into Moldrasil. After this battle, Lan, the Rainbow Arbiter, ascended and rose to Aeonhood to become Lan the Hunt. Some might say that the Xianzhou Alliance worships the Hunt, but for the Immortals, it is safe to say that, together with Lan, they are the Hunt.